Hello, dear viewer, and welcome to another episode of the Catholic League Forum. I'm Director of Communications at the Catholic League, Mike McDonald, and joining me today is President and CEO of the Catholic League, Bill Donohue. We got another full episode for you, so let's just dive right into it, Bill. One of the things that always ticks us off here, really gets us upset, is the disparity between the ruling class, these so-called elites, and the average American. And one of the things that has really sort of been force-fed to everybody is this whole sort of we need to atone for sins of our ancestors, white supremacy, that whole pitch that they give us all the time. And one of the things that you had asked us to do this week was to take a look at how these ruling elites are putting it into practice. So we looked at 10 major corporations that our viewers would be familiar with. So we looked at Goldman Sachs, American Express, Apple, Bank of America, Cigna, Citigroup, Facebook, J.P. Morgan, Morgan Stanley, and Walmart, right? So pretty household names there to see what they were doing. And shockingly, looking at their boards, they don't really seem to live up to what they're preaching. Just to give you a couple of examples. Goldman Sachs, right? 9 people on their board, all white. Apple, another one. Everyone has an iPhone these days. 12 members of their board are white, 2 are Asian. That's their entire board right
What about
there.
Hispanic or black?
None.
They didn't make the cut.
Didn't make the cut. Facebook, 21 white people on the board, 1 black person, and 1 Asian.
And yet, Mike, as you guys have done with the research, if you take a look at the diversity statements made by these corporations, they're very exact and they're
Yes.
very demanding, and you have to go through their training programs. Otherwise, you're a racist. And they're forcing these white people to try to confess that there's something wrong with them. They're guilty of white privilege and the like. They don't know anything about the class of these
Right.
people. Of course, it makes a big difference. These are the real white privileged people. They were
Yeah.
the ones who were born with a silver spoon in their mouth, and they have the audacity not to hire blacks or Asians or Hispanics, just a few tokens here and there. In some cases, Goldman Sachs, nobody at all.
None.
And yet they're going to tell the rest of us. It reminds me of Ruth Bader Ginsburg back in '93, I think it was, when she was up for the Supreme Court decision. And they said, well, you're very big on affirmative action. And she said, well, I am. They said, why is it you've never hired one black person in the United States ever to clerk for you? She said, well, that's been a problem, but I'm going to change that. Yeah, these people are phonies. They don't believe. They're plain black
Right.
people. They're plain black people. This is the ruling class, the Wall Street monsters in Silicon Valley, plain black people, and for that matter, the rest of Americans.
And
They don't believe a word they say.
yeah. And one of the other points that I think we should highlight here is one of the groups that they also listed as privileged were Christians.
Yeah,
That
sure.
we, some
Right,
reason, have some semblance of Christian
right. Yeah.
privilege. It just doesn't make
No,
any
the
sense.
atheists wouldn't be privileged.
No, they would not be.
Exactly.
They would not be privileged. So
They only own Silicon Valley, so I mean they're all filthy
right.
rich.
So it's just the
Yeah.
hypocrisy. It's just
Yeah.
more than we can stand. Dear viewer, I know we kind of gave you a lot of information right there. So if you are interested in looking at any of these other boards that we just do not have time to fit into this episode, do check out our website, CatholicLeague.org. We got the complete breakdown of all of these corporations, their boards, and as Bill had mentioned, their diversity statements as well. So definitely worth the read, definitely worth taking a look at. Sort of shifting gears a little bit here, Bill. You put out a very strong piece this week comparing the situations of nonviolent rioters at the Capitol building to more violent, more extreme rioters in the course of the Black Lives Matter Antifa movement. Can you tell us why you felt compelled to write that piece?
Yeah, Mike, there's a guy, he's not a household name. He's a regular American, some guy from Pennsylvania. I don't even know, I remember his name. I wrote about him this week. That's irrelevant. The man was a Trump supporter. Okay, so he shows up at the January 6th protest, and he's out there for 4 hours in the protest. He's not doing anything. Of course, as we know, it's basically a nonviolent demonstration. The only person shot was a policeman who shot a woman veteran. In any event, this guy is out there with the protesters doing nothing, and he does go into the building for 15 minutes. He gets a picture taken of himself next to a bust of Abraham Lincoln, and he leaves. The guy's life has been ruined.
Right.
Not so much because of the 6-month probationary period and the $500 restitution, community service, and that nonsense. The guy was a high-powered financier, and he now delivers pizza. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that that's a pretty big drop.
Yeah.
What did he do? I mean, you could say he trespassed. Okay, fine, get him on that. Why did they have to bankrupt this man's life
Right.
when he was a nonviolent protester? And they've tried to destroy this man, and in fact, they've done a good job. Then I asked you guys on the staff to investigate just on Antifa and Black Lives Matter attacking Catholic churches and other buildings,
Yeah.
and say something about that. What did you find?
The Catholic Church appeared to be one of the favorite targets of the Black Lives Matter.
Catholic
Antifa
churches,
riots.
in this case.
Churches, yeah, plural.
Right.
In general. And if you look at it, it is very destructive. You have one Black Lives activist member, Sean King, come out and say that images of white Jesus is a form of white supremacy, and we need to remove them. And you can see people clearly acted on it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not necessarily directly card-carrying members of Antifa. I don't think there are too many of them. But people were definitely inspired.
Absolutely.
And it was across the country.
Right.
You know, we're not just talking about
Right.
major cities. We are talking about small churches in small town America that have also been desecrated and vandalized by these types of radicals.
And then they set cop stations on fire. They looted right here in New York City, right where we are. They destroyed property. They killed people.
Yes.
All right. We're talking about dozens of people killed because of these thugs. And what's been done about them?
Slap on the wrist.
No, they didn't ruin these people like they ruined the guy
Yeah.
for standing there with a picture of Abraham Lincoln. This again, we have the disparity between the ruling class and the rank and file American, and they really don't like Christians. That's why they go after Catholics in particular.
Yeah, absolutely. And dear viewer, again, short here for time, but if you are interested in seeing the comprehensive list of all the attacks that have been committed by Black Lives Matter, Antifa on Catholic churches, Catholic icons, do check out our website, catholicleague.org. We have a very comprehensive list for you to take a look at there. And Bill, one final topic that I think is very important. It's in the news constantly. This week, California Governor Newsom decided that he's upset with the great state of Florida, the great state of Texas, because they are implementing policies to protect children and really empower parents to know what's going on in their schools.
In terms of sex transitioning in
terms
particular.
of the sex transitioning in particular. And that's something that we advocate for very hard here at the
It's
Catholic
child
League.
abuse. It's
It
child
is.
abuse. You take a minor and you say to a boy, you can become a girl. Does that mean genital mutilation? Yeah, that's exactly what it does mean. It can mean. And then the puberty blockers. Yeah, so this is child abuse. That's what we want to call it. We don't want to mince words here.
No, not at all, because there is no way to mince words with this. It is a black and white issue. But you got good states that are doing the right things here. And you've got bad states like Governor Newsom in California doing bad things here. You put out a very strong piece, very deeply drawing on your sociological background. Can you talk us through this sort of argument about who do children belong to, the state or their parents?
Well, this goes back to Plato, who believed that the parents should not bring up their own children. He wanted children to be brought up by the community, by the collectivity. Today it would be the state. And there are people, I'm not saying all teachers, by the way. I think most teachers are good. Let me make that clear. I have a real problem with the teachers' unions.
Yeah.
I have a problem with many of the school board members, and certainly with the NEA, as well as public officials like Newsom and others. They don't believe in parental rights. They believe that the state should have first dibs, and in some cases, even including last dibs. That's what they want. So they don't believe that if an 11-year-old is confused and he or she wants to flip to the other sex, they treat it like as if somebody's carnivorous flipping over to be vegetarian. No, we're talking about some serious stuff here.
Right.
They don't believe the parents have a right to know that their little kid is going through this process, and they think that the state, in this case state employees like teachers, should be encouraging them to do this behind the back of the parents. Gavin Newsom says that that's authoritarian to object to what this is going on. Now, there was a case back in 1925 in Oregon, just to show the historical pattern here. The Ku Klux Klan had supported a law in Oregon which said all students had to go to a public school. What was behind that? They hated the Catholic schools. If all students have to go to public schools, that means you close down the Catholic schools. That's why the Klan, which was against Catholics and Jews and blacks, it wasn't just blacks. And in fact, in the Northwest, was mostly against Catholics. In any event, it went to the Supreme Court because a group of nuns, Sisters of Mercy, decided to fight it. And they won in the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said that the child is not a mere creature of the state. Let me repeat that. Children are not a mere creature of the state. That is still law. And that's never been overturned. You make application to this here, the state operatives, whether it be school board members or the public officials and the like, they have no right to eclipse the right of parents. The children belong to the parents, not to the state. And if you disagree with that, then fine, you embrace totalitarianism. And we've seen what's happened in the 20th century. In society, in modern societies, you have the individual. That's the first datum of society. But then at the top, you have the state, the government. In between are the intermediate associations. That's the family, school, church, voluntary associations. That's civil society. That stands in the way of the state from grabbing the individual. So if you crush the intermediate associations, civil society, all that's left is the state and the individual. At that point, people find out what happened in Germany, in the Soviet Union, in China, and other places which you've had totalitarian rule. It's lights out, people.
Yeah, those were definitely not fun times for anyone. But another thing I would like to point out here, Bill, real quick, is this was a very good way for members, viewers, subscribers to our email list to get involved, because we also included the contact information for someone in Gavin Newsom's office. So you could express, help us get this message out there that children do belong to their parents. As you pointed out, they're not mere creatures of the state. I think that is very important.
And get your friends and get your family involved.
Get everyone involved, because this is very important. As you pointed out, Bill, that was about 100 years ago, that Supreme Court case.
That's
and
right.
We're still fighting this exact battle.
There are people on the left who are only subsumed with power and control. And they all know that the best way for them to win is to get to the kids. And so this has been around for a very long time. I am glad that people are beginning to wake up, particularly the mothers, because they found out during COVID what was going on in some of the schools, and we need to bust that open and need to blow it up in the sense of transparency. I don't know if I want to go beyond that, though. We are in the Catholic League here.
Absolutely. Well, Bill, I feel like this has been a very full episode. We got a lot in there. But real quick, before we sign off, dear viewer, if you could please give this video a like and subscribe, that would greatly help us with the algorithms, get the message out there to get more people involved in this fight. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.